Hey guys, how are we all? We've had to improvise, we've had to adapt, and we're going to overcome. We are in the middle of nowhere at the moment, but we got some 4G reception, got a camera, we've got it set up, and we're going to do a little reading as promised. I'm doing a reading from this book of mine called The Jungle Challenge. It's a series of kids' books that we did that were unlike anything we'd done before. And the reason I wanted to do a reading from this is that actually this is one of our best-selling kids' books. And I like it because it's got great values. It's all about different characters each book, but kids that maybe need a little bit of guidance, maybe in terms of how they treat people or how they approach life. And at the start of the book, they always think they have it all together, and then something happens, and they end up on this adventure where we get to meet, and I get to guide them and help them, and show them a bigger picture of the world. But we've done lots of these. We've done this, the Jungle Challenge. We've done the Safari Challenge, the Sea Challenge, and River Challenge, the all Earthquake Challenge, and all sorts of different books and stories. But this is one of the best-selling ones. It's called the Jungle Challenge. I'm going to read you the back and then a little bit from it, and then we'll all get on with our day. But I just want to say, first of all, also thank you for joining me. I like the raw nature of these sort of things, so thank you for bearing with me, and thank you for always joining. But here's the back of the jungle adventure. Omar, who's the young boy in this one, Omar wants to win. He's determined to be the fastest and the best at everything, even if that means upsetting people slower than him. Then a strange compass gets him lost in a thick tropical rainforest, face to face with deadly spiders, poisonous snakes, and then Bear Grylls. Together, they must find a way through the dangerous undergrowth and cross croc-infested waters. But can Omar slow down, take it steady, and learn the jungle law? And that is the kind of the pattern of all of these books. You know, we get to meet, we get to have an adventure together, and hopefully your kids, if you have kids, dig it and learn something good. Not only about sort of life and values and friendships and risk and effort and never giving up and all that good stuff, but also about the natural world, and that's a big part of it as well. So I thought I would read the first chapter. I also like the dedication in this, which says this: to the young survivor reading this book for the first time, may your eyes always be wide open to adventure and your heart full of courage and determination to see your dreams through. And you never know, that might be one of you watching it now, one of you kids watching it now, hearing this for the first time. So this book is dedicated to you. Keep your eyes open for adventure and keep courage and determination in your heart to see your dreams through. Okay, number one, first chapter. Beat the record and win a special prize. Reach for the record. Are you ready? Omar's eyes lit up as he spotted a poster on the notice board. Special prize? That's mine. All the activities at camp were listed on the board: sailing, night hike, crazy golf, horse riding. But it was the brightly coloured words next to the minds and muscles relay race that had caught Omar's attention. He picked up the pencil next to the sign-up sheet and wrote his name. A leader was tidying up the old notices from the board, and she smiled. Ha, that one's a favourite every camp. But hang on, you got to say which type of obstacles too. She tapped the column next to the names on the sheet, and Omar took a closer look. Omar thought, in a normal relay race, each person in a team carries a baton part of the way, then hands it over to the next runner. But this one had obstacles and mental challenges too. Which type was for him? Sometimes in class, when the teacher asked a question, Omar's mind would go blank. Even just a simple maths problem, and the answer would be on the tip of his tongue, but it only came blurting out when the teacher had moved on to another kid. You know that feeling? Man, Omar hated it when that happened. He hated feeling like a loser. He wasn't going to risk it. He was determined to get that feeling of winning instead, whatever the cost. So he put a tick next to muscles, and the leader smiled again. Well, good luck. There's a special prize for any team that beats the race record. That was like a hit of adrenaline for Omar. A record? Every year, Omar got the Guinness World Records book on his birthday. He loved reading about all the champions. He would flip through it and look at the different records and choose which ones he was going to beat when he was older. Omar set off back to his tent feeling pretty excited. Definitely going to win that, he told himself. Omar played a little game he had made up as he walked through the trees. He would kick a loose pine cone, it would bounce ahead, and then he would kick it again, and the next time he came up to it, and so on. But the rule was he couldn't break step or change direction. Sometimes it would bounce right off the path, so he'd have to start with a new cone. His record so far was kicking the same pine cone 4 times along the path before he decided to bounce himself out of play. But this time he got up to 5 before it went off. Results, he said, pretending to be a sports commentator. Omar's on top, again. Meanwhile, he'd come out of the trees into the clearing where a 5-a-side game was just finishing. Suddenly a girl screamed very loudly. Omar looked over and smiled. One of the girls had accidentally squirted her friend with a bottle of fruit juice. The look on the wet girl's face was pretty funny. But he stopped smiling when he saw one of the girls drop the empty bottle of juice. He thought her name was Chloe. Instead of putting the bottle in a bin, she just chucked it on the ground as she headed off with her friend. Oi! Omar called, hurrying after them, but she didn't hear him. Here, come in, Ninny. Omar frowned, annoyed. His mum was always honoured him to make sure he picked up his litter. How come she could get away with it? Hey, Omar. He was distracted by hearing his teammates, Ollie and Jack, call him. So he picked the bottle up and chucked it into the bin as he headed over to them. Hey guys, he called. Guess what I just put my name down for? And then the next chapter is all about the race. And then he gets lost. And then in the race, he's not so nice to somebody. And then he gets lost. And then he goes on the real adventure of the book. And it's on the real adventure of the book that he learns the lesson of how to be a nice person, how to be a good friend to people, how to, care for people and slow down a bit, and how to realize that life isn't all about winning. If you're always just trying to win at the expense of relationships, you're always going to end up unhappy. Striving and going for things is great, but winning is like the cream on the top. It's a nice thing, but it's not always going to happen. And if you want to win, you're going to have to also get used to sometimes not winning or losing. And that's okay. And there's a great quote about in Wimbledon, the tennis tournament. And it said, if you can treat winning and losing just the same as, it's such a good quote. I'll try and pull it up and I'll try and post it after this. But it basically says, treat them both as imposters, winning or losing, and then you'll become a man or a woman. Alrighty, so for those of you who are going to read this, I hope you enjoy it. Send me some messages if you enjoy it. Tell me the values you liked through it. Tell me any lessons you've learned through it. As I said, they're always rooted in good values and in friendships. Okay, finally, I promised I'd answer some questions for you. You've got some questions down here. What is the hardest terrain to survive in? I think the real extremes of temperatures are the hard ones, whether I've been in Siberia in wintertime, minus 45 degrees. I've been in the Sahara Desert in the heat of the summer, over 125 degrees. The real extremes of heat are very unforgiving. What advice would you give to your 10-year-old self? I would think be prepared to fail more. I think at school people are very scared to fail, but the only way to grow is through failure, through making mistakes, because life isn't about being a superstar at school. It's about being prepared for life. And the way you prepare yourself for life is you use school as a training ground. And it doesn't matter if you win or lose. What matters is your internal effort muscle, that that resilience muscle inside is getting strong. But anyway, thank you for joining me for this reading. Have a brilliant weekend. You guys are amazing.